Welcome back, my friends, to our endless epic. The never ending stories that I use to send you off to sleep. So I hope you're all ready. Wrap yourself up warmly, grab yourself some tea or some cocoa, and let us begin bedtime stories. Tonight, it is the romance of King Arthur. Beginning with the summoning of Igraine. In the era of Uther Pendragon's rule over England, a time of magic and myth, the land was not wholly at peace. Uther, a king of unmatched valor and ambition, faced a persistent challenge to his authority from a powerful noble in the rugged lands of Cornwall. This noble, known as the Duke of Tintagel, had long opposed Uther, his defiance fueling a bitter conflict that threatened the stability of the kingdom. King Uther, seeking to quell this rebellion and secure his reign, devised a plan. He summoned the Duke to his court, an act that carried both an olive branch and a veiled threat. The summons included a peculiar request. The Duke was to bring his wife, Igraine, renowned across the lands not just for her breathtaking beauty, but for her wisdom that rivaled the sages. Rumors of Igraine's charm and intellect had reached Uther's ears, sparking a fascination that bordered on obsession. When the Duke of Tintagel and his wife, Igraine, arrived at King Uther's court, they were met with grandeur and promises of peace. Amidst the opulence and flattery, the king's gaze lingered too long on Igraine, his admiration barely concealed. Despite the warmth of their welcome, the banquet was accompanied by an air of unease. Uther, captivated by Igraine's beauty and wit, found himself desiring more than just her company. Yet Igraine, who was not without her integrity, saw that Uther's intentions were not entirely honorable, and she rebuffed him with a firm grace. Disturbed by the king's intentions, Igraine confided in her husband, her tone dire and her worry evident.
"This invitation was a ruse," she whispered. "Uther intends not to make peace, but to disgrace us. We must leave tonight under cover of twilight, for only the safety of our own fortress will protect us when our absence is noticed in the light of the morning."
Heeding her counsel, they slipped away unnoticed, the silence of their departure speaking volumes of their haste. When Uther discovered their sudden disappearance, rage and indignation stormed within him. Summoning his closest advisors, he revealed the unexpected turn of events, his wrath becoming a tempest that threatened to engulf them all. Upon their stealthy departure, the castle buzzed with whispered speculations and the heavy tread of uneasy alliances. King Uther, with his pride wounded and authority challenged, resolved to reclaim control. He dispatched emissaries with a stern ultimatum to the Duke of Tintagel. Return to the court with your wife, or brace for war. Yet the message that returned was as defiant as the silence that had preceded it. The Duke and Igraine would not yield to the king's demands. Uther seethed with a fury that could boil the sea. The air in the council room crackled with the tension as he vowed a response that would echo through the ages. "Let it be known," he decreed. His voice echoed with a doom that would change the course of history. "If diplomacy fails, then by sword and fire we shall cast our verdict. Prepare for war in 40 days. We shall breach the walls of his mightiest stronghold and bring them to their knees." As the word of the king's threat spread, the kingdom braced itself for conflict. Armies gathered like clouds, and the land teetered on the brink of a war that promised to reshape the contours of power. The stage was set for a clash, not just of armies but of wills, and the fates of kingdoms would be decided not solely on the battlefield, but in the courts of those who dared defy the crown. The warning reached the Duke of Tintagel, like a cold wind heralding the tumult. With urgency, he fortified his strongholds, Tantagil and Terrabil, bastions of his power and great symbols of defiance against the powers of Uther. Dame Igraine, his wife of unparalleled grace, he placed within the sturdy walls of Tantagil for her protection, and he took command in Terrabil, a castle famed for its myriad of secret passages and strategic advantages. King Uther, driven by a flurry of emotion, wrath at the Duke's defiance, and an unwavering desire for the fair Igraine, marshalled his forces. They descended upon Terrabil like a dark cloud, encircling it with siege engines and tents. A veritable sea of war was crashing against the castle's defenses like the waves against a shore. The battle raged, a dance of steel and shadow, with both sides suffering great losses. Yet it was not only the clash of swords that weighed upon Uther. His heart was ensnared by Igraine, and his unrequited love and simmering anger drove him to illness. In this dark hour, Sir Ulfius, a knight of noble repute, approached the ailing king.
"Why does your despair grip you so, my liege?"
he inquired. Uther, his voice a mere whisper, confessed,
"It is for Igraine, whose beauty and spirit consume me. Leave me ill with want and frustration."
Resolved to aid his king, Sir Ulfius set out to find Merlin, the master of arcane arts. By chance, or by fate, he encountered Merlin disguised as a beggar. A testament to the wizard's enigmatic nature, Merlin, discerning Ulfius' mission, revealed himself, proposing an agreement. If Uther pledged to honor a yet unspecified desire of Merlin's, the wizard would grant him his heart's yearning for Igraine. Ulfius, aware of Merlin's reputation and alleged abilities, accepted this offer without hesitation, and desperate for the king's relief, agreed without further discussion.
"Whatever you wish, it shall be granted, as long as it brings solace to our king,"
he vowed. Merlin smiled assuredly, and pledged to him,
"Then let us proceed, for Uther's destiny and desires are about to unfold in ways beyond his wildest imaginings."